Another factor that weakens the power of the cabinet and prevents the parliamentary cabinet system from functioning properly in Japan is the dual power structure consisting of the ruling party and cabinet. In an ideal parliamentary cabinet system, the cabinet is a team that executes the policies of the ruling party, like the strong cabinet in chart 3, page 4, that handouts. Power within the ruling party is concentrated in the cabinet because those who become ministers are the party's prime movers, and ruling party lawmakers who are not in the cabinet ordinarily do not defy the cabinet's policy decisions, much less revoke them. Under the LDP administrations of the past few decades, however, it became the norm for ruling party members outside the cabinet to wield more power than the cabinet, as shown by the weak cabinet in the chart. As a result, many policy decisions were effectively made through repeated contact, behind the scenes groundwork, negotiations, and arm twisting between top ruling party politicians, including tribal lawmakers with close ties to special lobbyists and bureaucrats. In total, disregard of the cabinet. This deviates greatly from the principles of the parliamentary cabinet system and obscures who is responsible for making government policy. The decision-making process within the dual power structure, which has become almost institutionalized over the decades, can be summarized as follows. In the case of the LDP, the party has its own policy coordination section called the Policy Research Council, which checks the bills and other policy proposals put forward by the cabinet. Government bills cleared by the Policy Research Council are then approved by the party's General Council before being submitted to the Diet. This is called prior screening by the ruling party, a practice that is virtually unheard of in other major countries. It is unusual for government bills to be drastically modified or even rejected in this process. The rejection by politicians outside the cabinet of policy proposals that representatives of the same party drafted in order to implement the party's manifesto, in effect, amounts to a rejection of the parliamentary cabinet system itself. At the same time, in the sense that it reinforced the impression that any proposal approved by the ruling party would be approved by the Diet. It was also one of the factors that reduced the Diet to a rubber stamping role. While all political parties have a broadly similar structure, in the LDP's case, the chairman of the General Council, the chairman of the Policy Research Council, and the Secretary General constitute a troika of top party officials who wield tremendous power over party affairs. Under LDP administration, this troika had more power and a louder voice in many respects than the cabinet ministers, who are the policy chiefs of the government. The three executives control policy decision despite having no legal rights or responsibilities regarding government policy making. As a result, when a government policy proposal conflicts with the ruling party's position, instead of the minister rallying the party around the proposal by the government or government committee, the party's wishes were often given precedence. This resulted in a weak cabinet, enabling politicians to become a minister even if incompetent. They are not able to grow and develop even after becoming minister, leading to an increasing number of hereditary politicians. A certain member of parliament of the United Kingdom came to Japan and he said, jokingly, that the House of Representatives in Japan is more like the House of Lords. In this regard, the DPJ has brought about many changes, such as abolishing parties' policy research council and the prior screening custom, and then centralized the policy making to the 3 ministerial posts. However, the party's Secretary General, Ichiro Ozawa, is still in a position to control political funding and the selection of candidates. Although Ozawa is outside the cabinet, he is still at the center of power. Having control over the funding and candidates essentially means being able to control politicians, and actually played a very important role to decide the 2010 budget at the end of the last year. The weak cabinet's bureaucracy-led politics, sectionalism, and non-transparent decision-making are all deviation from the ideal parliamentary cabinet system. These are not, however, institutional issues, so improvements can be made without overhauling existing political institutions. There is rather a need to deal with conflicting interests within political parties. The LB did not have the capacity to do that. In a nutshell, this is an issue of party governance. And most Japanese people do not know these political system, but they know that the system must be changed. The DPJ showed their intention to change that, and this is the main point that Japanese people chose the DPJ at the last general election. Whether or not the DPJ can actually change is something that will be tested going forward.